This is Short Sword Basics with Baelnorn. I find that short sword is the fundamental fighting technique or fighting style of all amp guard. It just bases the techniques you learn with short sword translate to almost all other fighting styles in one way or another. So we're just going to go over basically the basics of fighting, which all translate to being able to use the short sword. So it's going to be a lot of things that translate to other styles. So the first thing you want to do is get a stance. So I stand, so your body angle is about 30-45 degrees off kilter. Your back and your hips and your shoulders are aligned. Bend your knees. Bending your knees allows you to change your angles. So you want to be able to be spry. Then your sword comes down here. I like to hold it lower because you don't really need to hold it up here. It opens you up here. Hold it here. So if I'm facing you, it would look like this. Is that too big?
It's fine. Bend your knees like that.
Okay. And then I want to show you my grip. If you hold it like this, you're liable to hurt your thumb because they can push back and stuff like that. So I do a modified saber grip. So you wrap the thumb around like this. So this is against the sword. This is how you grip it. This is how you change your angles. So that is the basic stance, basic grip. Okay. Look at my notes really quick. Footwork is next. And if you have any questions, just comment. My brother will read them out loud. So you get in your basic stance, and you move in triangles. So like this. You got the footwork? Okay. So you never want to go really just walk forward. That will open you up to being attacked. Your foot isn't as stable, and you're just off balance when you step. When you step, you want to drag your back foot with you. That allows you to keep your balance more, and so your weight distribution doesn't go too much on your front foot only, so at least some on your back foot, so you're better balanced. And so when you move, you want to move to the side or to the side.
Okay, you're getting a little too close. A little too close.
Too close, okay. And basically you go around the person. A basic footwork lead-in is kind of like flushing the toilet. So you don't go around the person and stay at the same distance. You step in slightly and you slightly close in, going to the right. That's usually my basic pattern when I start. So it's really important to do your footwork because everything from the footwork up lends to your shots, your angles, and if you don't have proper footwork, you're going to plateau and you're not going to progress your fighting. You're just going to be mediocre at best. I hit that plateau about 2 years in, realized I wasn't doing my footwork, and I had to completely relearn how to fight. And then I was able to get better than where I plateaued at because I worked on my footwork. And you can actually do some drills at home. You don't need to have a lot of room. You can just walk down, get into your stance, and just walk down your hallway or around your room, circle around, and just practice staying in your stance and moving your feet, and it'll eventually become muscle memory. Any questions about footwork or your stance? I'll look at my notes. Well, people may respond a bit fast.
Okay.
So before we get into offense and defense, I want to talk about range. I want to talk about the green zone, the orange zone, and the red zone. Sadly, I don't have a person here to help demonstrate that, so I'm going to use a tree. So the green zone is any zone where you can't be attacked. any area where you can't be attacked within like a foot. Like this would be the green zone because I can't take a step, or he can't take a step and hit me. So the green zone will change based on the player that you're fighting, their length, how tall they are, their weapon, stuff like that. The orange zone or the yellow zone is more like when you get in close, you can like clip arms and stuff like that. You can't really hit the body, but you can sort of fight, and you can defend stuff like that. The red zone is when you actually get closer and you can actually hit the body, and you're pretty deep into the fight. So when you're planning your strategy for fighting, you want to stay kind of in the green zone, kind of have a game plan, move in, test the waters in the yellow zone, and then execute your plan by going into the red zone, usually, unless you're just sniping arms. And then you can kind of stay in the yellow zone. A lot of people in the Northwest I've noticed tend to stay in the yellow zone, and people get uncomfortable when you move into the red zone. But I recommend you practicing moving into the red zone and fighting in the red zone, so you can get more comfortable and you won't get like freaked out when someone moves in to attack you, or especially when you're sword and boarding, you can actually get right up there, hook shields, stuff like that. So getting used to the red zone, pretty important. Any questions about range or anything like that?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So, defense. It's very important to just get in your guard. And you want to block so your sword is perpendicular. You don't want to swipe out this way or swipe out that way, because your sword will wobble and you won't have as much recovery, and your options of counterattacking are limited. But as soon as you block out here, you want to practice immediately returning to your guard. It's very important. And so one thing you could do at home with your sword, you could just practice staying in your stance, pushing to block, move back, block, move back. And you'll have a better defense because of that. Also, when you block, you don't want to block up here. You don't want to use this area to block because it'll move your sword around more. You want to block in this area, right here. I think it's called the forte of the blade. So those are the basics of blocking. Very simple. And then there's dodging. I don't dodge as much as I used to because I'm out of shape. But you want to minimize the amount that you move. So like if you dodge, move your feet. You don't want to just angle your shoulder back because that's not enough. But you want to do small movements with your feet to move out of the way. You don't want to try to do big movements to move out of the way unless you just need to get out of the situation altogether. And then evaluate the situation, move back in. So, I mean, that's the basics of dodging. And then offensive. Let's see. So, the basic idea of the offense is the basic shot. But your form matters. If you just shoot from the shoulders, you won't get as much power, you won't get as much torque, your recovery time won't be as good. So it's very similar to throwing a punch in boxing. It actually starts at the foot, the twist moves up, your torso, and your hips, and then your torso, then your shoulders. Yes?
When would you choose to dodge as opposed to block? What situations?
Pretty much when your sword's out of place. I would prefer to block, but like a lot of my left side when I'm single sword fighting, you have your arm, but you don't want to necessarily lose your arm if you can avoid it. So if your sword's out of position, like you want to block over here, and then like you're fighting someone with a 2-stick, and then they're coming for your shoulder, you want to move out of the way because your sword's over here. So I would prefer to block with the sword, secondary block with our dodge. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, shoot or throwing
You're doing your basic shot.
Yeah, do the basic shot. So if I'm going to, I don't know, high cross to sword side shoulder, which is the high cross. I would be in my stance. I would twist my foot slightly as my body comes up, go like that. Then when you whip back, your body moves back. It's a slight, I'll exaggerate. So twist, and I would never twist this far, and then twist back. The twist back motion will help you recover faster. So it'd be more like that if it was faster. It'd be easier to demonstrate if I had someone to hit. I apologize for that, but quarantine and all that. So that's the basics of offensive, is being able to throw that shot. And you can just practice that at home. You don't even need a weapon. You can practice boxing and just get into your stance, practice throwing the arm, and that'll get your body used to twisting. You also want to keep your shoulders and your hip pretty even. It's just basic form. Any questions about throwing a shot? Okay. What time is it?
1:12.
Well, that was actually the basic material that I was going to go over. So if there's any questions, I can cover more advanced topics if people like. But mastering these simple basics and getting, especially your stance and your basic guard down, that will be the key to building up your fighting style. I guess I should say that you keep your feet aligned with your shoulders, so you don't, I didn't mention this, you don't go too far out. I guess I could talk about lunging. Lunging is pretty simple. Step here, lunge like that. By moving your back foot up first, you give yourself more time to lunge. And as you notice, you drag the foot behind you. So you don't jump in amp guard, because jumping is generally a bad idea. But the lunge is almost like a jump, because you're propelling yourself forward. That's the closest I would come to having a jump in amp guard. Any
No questions.
Okay. Billy, do you have any questions?
No. I don't know that much, so.
Yeah, that's why. This is the basics class. So.
Okay.
Okay.
What are? Yes, you have your basic attack. What's the next kind of attack?
I guess I could talk about adding some feints in. My go-to shot is a sword side hip when I'm fighting single sword, which I do too often, honestly, but it works. I'm not talking about the money, which is technically coming up here to the shoulder and then down here to the hip. Something that I've been doing, I learned it from Freddie, for a guy named Freddie a long time ago. He was a fencer. It's kind of a fencing move. Clinton calls it Leviosa. But basically, you get into your stance, and you might fight a little bit, but then the sword comes up over here, so they think you're going high, and you come down like a J movement and hit their hip. It's not out here like this, like a lot of people do. You didn't see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fake up. So their sword moves up, exposes their hip, hopefully, and you'll step in, come in, down, up. I wish I had another person to show, because I do a little bit different angles on the body. I try to, just can't show, but I try to put it a little deeper so their arm block is not necessarily, or their hand block isn't going to necessarily hit their hip. I guess that would be the shot that I do the most, combining a feint and an attack. Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, let's go with what are I guess overzealous moves that shouldn't be used. Things that aren't going to work properly. That some people are common. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
When throwing shots, do you use your arm actively for defense or rely on movement?
Read that again.
When throwing shots, do you use your arm actively for defense or do you rely on movement?
I guess that's another principle I should have talked about. You should always throw a shot, or you should try to throw a shot in such a way that you can defend the return shot. So I do use my arm in that way. So let's say I'm doing the basic short side hit. I wouldn't just come down here like this, because that leaves this open for counterattack. I would come in more like this, so the counterattack hits here, if that makes any sense. So you think about how you can throw a shot and be able to recover from the inevitable counterattack. So you do use arms defensively when you're throwing a shot offensively.
Your off arm.
Oh, off arm? Oh yeah, I do that. Generally speaking, for me, in my style of short sword, I don't keep my hand up here. I keep my hand here. I do hand block, but if I keep my arm here, it protects this whole entire area there. But I will try to move out of the way. And I still will bring my hand up, but I leave it off to my side and kind of out of combat, so I have to actively move it into combat. But I also don't recommend blocking with your hand if you can avoid it. I mean, the back of your hand maybe, but not your fingers. I try to use this area when I block a shot, but it's not always possible. Because you can hurt yourself if you hand block and your fingers get hit, they can get bent, and I've had some pretty bad hand block incidents back in the day. Weapons are a little bit safer than they used to be though, so. Was that what you're talking about? Okay.
Any more questions?
Oh, the being overzealous.
Yeah.
Let's see. You probably shouldn't open with the high cross. So that would be an overzealous move. You also need to conserve your energy, so you don't want to throw wide shots. So a lot of new people will do that. It's better to throw inside or shots like that. So one, it's more precise. Two, harder to block because it's more direct. And three, you save a lot of energy. So it's the principle of conservation. So don't flail around effectively. Practice staying in kind of like a box rather than going outside the box. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Billy, can you think of anything else?
Guess what are common mistakes for beginners when it comes to attacks and movements?
Okay.
Thing.
So I kind of covered those a little bit, but the conservation of energy is probably the biggest mistake. They don't conserve their energy, and they just kind of do those or wide shots, and it opens them up. It's bad form. Another thing is the foot movement, which is very important. They'll move forward and backward, and that's not the best idea.
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
Can you go over stabs?
Yes, I can. So stabs. There's a couple different ways to do it. The simple one is just stab, obviously. I like to, when possible, stab this way, so my hand is up. It's not always possible, but this stops the attack from coming in and hitting your arm as much because your sword is stopping it. It also gives you, if they hit down, you have a better grip. Like some people, like my squire Indra, he went through a phase where he's trying to hit people's swords out of their hands. So if I stab like this, it'll be harder to hit. If it's like this, it'll slip out. So that's one thing I like to try to do when doing stabs. But really, stabs are when it's most opportune. You don't always get a chance to stab like this. I like to stab like shoulder, like on shieldman. One thing I like to do is when I'm fighting sword and board is come in and stab like this, so it hits here. So changing the angles of your stab to go through someone, through their defense. And that's the basics of stabbing. Any explanation needed more on the stabbing?
Wait.
No?
Yeah. Just waiting
Okay.
for.
Sorry, I didn't think about doing different shots for this video. I expected this to go take a little bit longer to do the basics. I was wrong.
It's because you're by yourself.
And it's probably because I'm by myself. That definitely added some time, or took away some time.
Alright, so energy conservation is important when you're a beginner.
Yeah.
So, what are, I guess, the 5 easiest ways to conserve energy?
One, keep your arm tucked in. Don't bring it out. Go like this. So it kind of regulates you to your box. If you're holding your arm out like this, I mean, you're going to get hit in the arm, first of all. And it will tend to make you feel like you can do this more because you're more open. You want to keep it kind of closed in and tight. So that's one way to do that. Another is your footwork. If you keep it solid, small movements, or the bear in your step, and you don't go around and move like this because you're moving your feet a lot extra, that will decrease. Doing the flailing with your feet will cause you to have more injury loss. So learning to use your feet in a more precise manner will conserve your energy. And those are the 2 basics. There's really not 5. Sorry.
Any more questions from the viewers? Anything?
What time is it? I was only going to go for about a half an hour.
23.
23. Okay. Okay. Another thing about throwing a shot. It's important not to use your wrist. You want to use your forearm for twisting. You can go like this, but when you come in for a shot, you want to twist. You don't want to. I can't even use my. I don't even know how to use my wrist anymore. But you don't want to flick it around and do this kind of thing with your wrist because you can hurt your wrist. The shots aren't as powerful. It's basic body mechanics by using this. Let's see. Throwing a shot and returning a shot. When you come in, let's say you come in here. Instead of returning to guard, you can just by flipping, you do another shot. So using your momentum is important in the swing. You don't want to like come out here and then bring it back. You want to use the power to return. Nothing else?
No questions yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess. Thanks for coming to my live stream, and we'll end a few minutes early. If people have any other questions, I can answer them in the comment section. Thanks for allowing me to do this. This is my first time teaching a class in a very long time. First time live streaming it, so hopefully it wasn't too jittery.
Yeah, that would be my fault if I shake.
Oh, not the camera, but my
Talking
thought process and
Yeah.
gambling. All right, bye.